Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome aboard the Max Afterburner podcast, brought to you by the No Fallen Heroes Everything Foundation, LLC, you name it, man. We are all things No Fallen Heroes. I missed you. It's been a while. This first podcast I've done in 3 weeks, mainly because of air shows, right? The past, was it 2 weeks ago? Man, they're all running together. 2 weeks ago, I was up at the Woodstock of Aviation. It's called Sun and Fun, right in the middle of the Gator State here, Lakeland, and it literally is Woodstock for aviators. It's like Tuesday to Sunday. People, thousands and thousands of airplanes, like the Battle of Britain, fly into Lakeland, Florida. People camp out. You can camp out like next to your plane. Blue Angels were there. Not too happy with the Blue Angel performance on Saturday. It sucked. Separate issue to discuss. I will say, last weekend, air show, Key West, much better. They clearly debriefed, they improved, but separate conversation. Anyway, so Lakeland is awesome. I think next year we might go like full motorhome, man, like motorhome near the No Fallen Heroes Foundation aircraft, and do like a no kidding full week up there because I love flying. I flew one of our sister squadron, the Veterans Prostate Cancer Association, the VPCA, right? So we have a nice strategic partnership with Bing and KID at the VPCA. I need to say that 10 times fast because a study came out a month ago or something that's like, hey, aviators, flight deck crew, everybody working around airplanes has a insanely higher rate of cancer. And speaking of insanely higher rate, veterans diagnosed with cancer have a 60% higher incidence of taking their own lives. I'm done saying committing suicide. That's like a legal term. That's like it's an awful term. No. They take their own lives. And that really, you can feel the weight of just that sentence, and it's awful. So VPCA and us have a good strategic partnership because they work with a lot of big pharma, and and both of them, Bing and KID, are prostate cancer survivors. And Slider, y'all, listen to like 3 or 4 of Slider's episodes, his podcast. He's in our No Fallen Heroes documentary. Well, I don't even know what it's going to be, folks. It's moved from I talked to a studio, and they're like, it's a holy instant, right? Remember my second journey when I was in it I was in there, man. I remember going, God, this is kind of dragging, man, and need a little help. And God said, look. And then in the blink of an eye, I opened my eyes, and I was looking at the Pacific. It was a beautiful morning, and I was like, I went from dog fighting to opening my eyes, and it was perfect. And my guide, Cynthia, was there. She's like, that's called the holy instant. And I actually looked it up, and she was right. So holy instant is a thing. And what the hell was I talking about? See, it's funny because I come in before I came to the studio. Susie's like, what are you talking about today? I'm like, I have no idea. I actually have to get better at this. I got to get Rosie on here, our chief medical officer, badass Tomcat pilot, doctor now, who's our chief medical officer. I got to get Aaron on here, call sign Arrow, F-15 Strike Eagle pilot, 2 badass women who went to Costa Rica with us last time. I got to get them on here. I got to get AJ Buckley on here. AJ, my brother, I love you, man. AJ's down in Bogota, Medellin, one of them, something, doing stem cell therapy. And I saw AJ, my brother, signed his one of his bags of stem cells saying, hey, here's to no more pain. And I saw on Instagram this morning, he's looking pretty good. So I got to get AJ on here, my brother Jack Maxwell from Booze Traveler, and now his new show, Spirit Quest. Both those guys are on our advisory board at No Fallen Heroes. I got to get Daniel Carcillo back in here, Car Bomb. So I actually have to do a better job of scheduling these podcasts because Friday rolls around. I'm like, oh shit. So I need a little help with that, man, because there's a lot going on. Speaking of Carcillo and Car Bomb, how about those Panthers, man? Let's go Cats. Went up to Boston. They played a hell of a first game, man. They played a great first game. Our Lion King in net. Couple dribbles in there, but other than a couple dribbles, man, the dude was all over the place. He was like Spider-Man. So tough game 1 loss, but what did we do? The second game in Boston, we beat the shit out of them. It was like 6-2, and then they got to go in like the last minute or something. So it ended up being 6-3. Why am I rambling about this? Because today, Friday, tonight is the Panthers game, the first home game of the Stanley Cup, round 1 playoffs, and I'm going to a fundraiser. Of course, the Stanley Cup playoff schedule came out after I committed, but when you commit to do something, you do it. That reminds me, I got to tell you about the movie I saw last night. Let me write that down so we can talk about it. But anyway, fundraiser here in Boca tonight. Not for me. It's for a homeless foundation here in Boca Raton. Jim Battisman runs it, he and his wife, and I offered up the No Fallen Heroes Foundation jet as a jet ride. So they're auctioning off a jet ride tonight, so I have to go, obviously, to that. So I get up on stage, show a video of the jet ride. So I'm going to miss the Panthers game tonight. And I would much rather be, obviously, at a foundation doing the Lord's work. But the ego part of me, there's a little bit to like, son of a, but me not being there means they're going to win, or it's going to be just an incredible game. Why am I still rambling about this? Because Sunday's game against Boston at 3 p.m., Bobby Orr is coming to the Top Gun Options suite. Bobby Orr, Mr. Hockey, the most famous and best hockey player in history. Love the guy. You could not meet a nicer human being on the face of the planet. So my brother Jack Doyle, Wall Street guy, philanthropic dude, runs the Fort Ticonderoga ferry. Just an incredible human being. Love my Jack Doyle. He grew up with Bobby. They're freaking best friends. And, halfway through the season, he's like, I think I can get Bobby. Would you like Bobby Orr to come to the Bruins game? I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? And he brought Jack O'Callahan, the OC. You ever watch Miracle on Ice? I actually watched it live when I was a kid, when we beat the Soviets, man. So OC and Bobby Orr were in our suite, man, and we beat the Bruins. I'm a bad winner, man. I was giving Bobby shit, but what a great human being. So when we're playing Boston in the first round of the playoffs, I sent him a text like, hey, man, do you want to? Yeah, me and my son and my grandson. So Bobby Orr coming. And I'll probably be an even worse winner. So I'm making it to that game. So a lot going on. So let's get back on path here. Sun and Fun was great. I flew Kid's wife because Kid flew the Tomcat. Probably doesn't need to jump in the backseat of the L-39. He's like, hey, can you fly my wife instead? So absolutely. So flew his beautiful bride. She was awesome. She was a G monster. And Kid's actually going to get his type rating. So he's going to get his type rating in the L-39 because I need more help. Rosie better get her type rating. Arrow better get her type rating. The more aviators I have to fly the No Fallen Heroes Foundation jet, the better. I don't need to do it. I'd rather have other folks doing it. So Sun and Fun was great. Grabbed the jet. And this was a God moment, man. Now I'm going to age myself. 32 years ago, May, I got commissioned April 27th, my beautiful bride's 27th birthday. So her 21st birthday was the day I graduated from college and got commissioned as an ensign in the Navy up at Jacksonville University. Jumped in my ensign mobile, Mazda MX-6. Yeah. Drove down to Naval Air Station Key West 32 years ago this month-ish. Why do I bring that up? Because 32 years later, I'm coming into the break overhead Naval Air Station Key West last weekend in my own fighter jet with my boy Matthew in the back seat in the trunk. That's a pretty cool God moment. There's no way as a 21-year-old ensign start my naval career at Naval Air Station Key West, could I stand there and say 32 years from now, you're going to be coming into the break in your own fighter jet, running a foundation that provides psychedelic-assisted therapy to veterans, first responders, and their families. if older me had said that to younger me, I just would have, it would have been hysterical. But man, what an incredible trip it has been. So that was pretty cool. So Susie came down with Jack. We had a great weekend. Keely had a cheerleading competition that Susie drove back for him. So Jack jumped in my trunk on the flight home. So Matthew flew down with me. Jack flew back. But I got to tell you, and this is kind of a duh, we were swamped at the airplane. Why were you swamped at the airplane? The Keys has a ton of military retirees, veterans. So I was blown away. Former Leo or veterans that became Leos that are retired. I talked to this one guy. We talked to so many veterans about the mission of No Fallen Heroes. It was awesome. It was especially awesome talking to one guy, Marine. Then he was a police officer. Totally on board with wanting to go do the medicine. He was blown away. And to hear a former Leo, right? Everything I was talking to this guy about is a crime in the United States. I want that to sit in. Of course it's a crime. Our government doesn't want people thinking freely or loving each other. They love the division. They love the hate. They love the vitriol. Right? You ever see that meme? You put like black ants and white ants in a jar and they don't do anything. They're peaceful. And then you shake the jar and they kill each other. That's where we are in our country right now, man. The elites keep shaking the jar, man. So it was a great visit to Naval Air Station Key West and seeing the Blues. And like I said, the Blues were a lot better. Went to the air show party Friday night. Talked to my brother Whiskers, the lead solo, number 5, great American. Got to hang out with the boys and the girl. First female Blue Angel in the Diamond. In the Hornet team, because they've had females before, or female before as the C-130 pilot, the Marine, but giddy up, man. So let's go ahead and get airborne. And here's what I want to talk about. First of all, we have another retreat in Costa Rica coming up May 12th. Need your help, man. Note to whiz, right? I've never run a foundation before, folks. I am building an airplane in flight. I got like 9 day jobs, and I didn't know this was going to be this. But when you reserve a place like Awaken Your Soul for a week for a healing retreat, maybe you should have enough funds to pay for it. So if you could do me a favor, we're a little short, and I personally have been kind of making up the difference if we don't hit our fundraising goals. It's getting a little tight, man. I can only do so. I'm like Scotty in the engine room. I'm giving you all I got, Captain. I can't give you no more. Please do me a favor. Go to nofallenheroesfoundation.com and throw a couple shekels. We're actually lowering. I think the minimum dollar amount was like $100 on there, and people are like, hey, can we donate small? I'm like, oh shit, duh. So I think today, or by the time you're listening to this podcast, I think there'll be a 25, a 50, maybe a 75. Hey man, anything helps, folks. We want to give 100% healing grants to our veterans, first responders, and their family members, so they don't have to come out of pocket. Now, the veterans who can come out of pocket do, obviously. I mean, we make a determination of the healing grants, but everything to date, nobody's come out of pocket. And so I'm asking you, and I'll tell you what, we've gotten some incredible feedback on these No Fallen Heroes Foundation hats, man. These things are awesome. Tell you what, if you make $100 donation, I think these are like 30 or 40 bucks as it is anyway, because these things are tight. AJ Buckley, my brother from another mother, Sonny on SEAL team, is going to make this his hat for this season. So you will get a Sonny from SEAL team hat, $100. And I will mail this to you. That's my promise. But please, any donation helps, man, because going forward, I don't think we're going to book the next retreat unless we kind of got enough airspeed on the jet to do it, because it kind of stresses me out a little bit. And then, you know what I do? I shut down. I don't stress out, and I go, you know what? I'll just cover it. And then I got to bust my ass even more. So not to give you all the full details, but you guys know me. I lead with my heart and truth, and I pull no punches. So we need help for this upcoming retreat in Costa Rica. And then from my lips to God's ears. Hopefully we're not, going to Costa Rica anymore. No offense. I got my Awaken Your Soul shirt on right now. Basi means truth, right? There is only truth. I love Anthony and Amber and the whole setup there. I love the Mission Within and Doc. Martine, south of the border, south of San Diego. He's got a couple other locations are opening. I love all that stuff. Trust me. Costa Rica is beautiful. The Mission Within location overlooking the Pacific south of San Diego is spectacular. It's Mexico. It's Costa Rica. It's not the United States. So my brother Justin Lepre from Heroic Path to Light, doing a great job in Austin. Let's heal Americans in America. I'm going to put that out there. Instead of spending $5,000 to $6,000 per veteran to go to Mexico or Costa Rica, how about $3,000 or whatever it's going to be to do Heroic Path to Light? Folks, healing should be free. It is free, and not should be. It is, right? You can grow mushrooms in your backyard, man, with psilocybin in them. But a lot of people do that. God put these things on everything to heal every ailment in the human body exists on this planet. Isn't that pretty cool? Okay. Now, as technology, as things have evolved and life has evolved, I get it, and there's drugs, right? So obviously some drugs have their use, but I got to be honest with you, man. The more research I do in this space, the more I dig into all of this. God's pretty smart, duh, but everything's kind of here, right? Reading a book and a guy or a gal, a medicine woman walking around the forest in the Amazon can point to everything that whatever you complain or says wrong with you, they're going to go find it. Isn't that incredible? I mean, it makes total sense to me, but yeah, Basi means truth. Speaking of truth, let me take a political tangent. And it's really not political because it should be the truth. Speaking of truth, with Elon Musk, it's so funny, like his rocket blew up. Apparently, a lot of you don't understand the definition of mission success, right? First of all, before Elon launched that thing for months, he's like, man, there's a 50% chance it even makes it to orbit. The mission objective of this test is to light the damn rocket and it clears the tower. But, of course, people who don't like Elon Musk now, we're celebrating that the rocket blew up, on its way to orbit. For all of you laughing, first of all, not doing what he's doing, it was a success. What? Yeah, it was. Let me, if you're a laugher at Elon Musk, let me give you the definition of a successful ejection for the United States Navy, Air Force, and Marine Corps. You ready for this? Pilot or air crew pulls the ejection handle, starts the initiation sequence, the ejection sequence. Canopy fires, separates from the aircraft. Miracle number 1. Oh my God, I'm like channeling Maverick. Miracle number 2. Rocket fires, ejection seat fires. That's miracle number 2. Miracle number 3 is in the seat. The seat pushes you out. Miracle number 3. And miracle number 4 is the parachute opens. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the definition of a successful ejection, according to our military. What did I leave out? Or I didn't leave anything out. What is missing from the definition of a successful ejection? Say it with me. You lived. Yeah, we don't really care about that. Everything worked as advertised. Yeah, the lady died or the dude died. Yeah, it was a successful ejection. Okay. So with the Elon Musk people giving him grief, it was a success. Now, clearly the dude would have been happier, or it would have been more successful in some of your eyes if the thing actually made it into orbit. The Wall Street Journal had a great op-ed today. The fuck are you cheering for, man? This is how you evolve. This is how things happen. I'm a student of space flight and the Mercury program, Apollo, and the fires and the crashes, the explosions, the deaths. For you cheering Elon Musk and the rocket blowing up, what the fuck is wrong with you? Grow up. It's ridiculous. Why am I going on this tangent? Because on Twitter, which I can't stand, but I tolerate it and have to put up with it, people talk about the rise. I love Elon schooling that BBC reporter about, oh, there's a lot more hateful content on Twitter. Give me an example. Well, I mean, I don't have, oh, so you don't have one, but it's gross, right? So when he called that reporter out, there's a lot more hate speech on Twitter or something like that. I got news for a lot of stupid people in this country, and there's a lot of them. That's ego talking. My apologies. That's not spiritual whiz, but ego whiz. There's a lot of fucking stupid people. There's only speech, and there is only information. If you hate it, or don't like it, or you think it's wrong, that's on you. Capiche? It's so funny. That's hate speech. That's your opinion. Speech is speech. When it goes through your rose-colored glasses or whatever, if you hate it, then you hate it. Don't fucking tell me what is hate speech and what isn't, or what is misinformation or not. You're talking to a guy that got booted off Facebook repeatedly. YouTube banned my account for a while. Why? Telling the truth during COVID. I knew exactly what was going on thanks to a couple deep throats in Washington. False information, fake information, block, account closed. Excuse me. Who gets to define hate speech or misinformation? See, that's the issue, folks. So stop with that shit. It's funny because when I threw this on somebody on Twitter, they're like, Adolf Hitler and all the stuff he said. I'm like, I'm pretty much damn sure I hate everything that guy said. Other people didn't. That's the point. And we went and fought a war and the guy's dead. So again, it kind of works out. Stop with it's hate speech or it's misinformation. Stop it. Because a lot of the people that are throwing those type of terms out, I completely don't agree with a lot of what they're saying. When people disagree, nowadays they're like, that's hate speech. What? Grow a pair, man. All right, so, that was because of Basi and Truth on my shirt. So here's what happened this week, which is really cool. Back to the medicine work and get rid of your ego whiz. But again, it just makes my skin crawl in today's environment when you throw these type of labels. Anybody I don't agree with is a Nazi. Apparently everybody's a Nazi because, you know, it's ridiculous. When you keep labeling things like that, it actually ends up losing its meaning, right? So anyway, happy tax week, by the way. I kept looking for my form where I could claim Ukraine as a dependent. Did you see Seymour Hersh? Pulitzer Prize winner Seymour Hersh. Not the Pulitzer Prize winners who got the Pulitzer Prize for the Russia hoax. Do you see that? All those idiot reporters that for years reported on that hoax that got a Pulitzer Prize didn't give them back or didn't like renege on them, or the Pulitzer Prize board didn't like pull those things back. They got awards for bullshit. Why am I bringing this up? Because Seymour Hersh actually is a no shit legit Pulitzer Prize winning journalist. What did he report on? Well, he reported a month ago that we blew up the Nord Stream pipeline. It's an act of war. I told you we do that as soon as it happened. I knew for a fact that we did it. You don't dive. Ain't too many militaries in the world are diving to a pipeline to place mines on it. Separate story, but he reported on that, right? And of course the media buried that. Could you imagine if switch again Biden with Trump? Can't stand Donald Trump, but I can't stand hypocrisy more than Trump. Donald Trump blew up the Nord Stream pipeline type of thing. Act of war. He'd be impeached for the 97th time. So Seymour Hersh reported last week over $400 million, according to the CIA, gone in Ukraine into pockets. Zelensky's and his generals. The CIA director made a trip over there, kind of a under the radar-ish trip until somebody found out about it, to do what? Hey, dude, clean the shit up. or if the American public finds out what's going on, we can't. He fired a couple dudes and that was it. $400 million, according to the CIA. So if it's $400 million, I guarantee it's a hell of a lot more than that. That is gone into pockets of people in Ukraine. I started this podcast by telling you I can't even, I'm struggling to pay for a healing retreat for fucking veterans in this country. We're busy funding death on the other side of the planet, and I can't even fund life-saving efforts in our own country. It makes me, yeah. Again, namaste, basi, basi. I got to get recentered because it's just so frustrating. Funneling money to kill people on the other side of the planet, and I can't heal people here. You listening, Joe? Kamala? Nah. Anyway, so this week, some good news. I talked to 3 veteran, I'm not going to say the airlines, but 3 major airline pilots who are doing the medicine. I've helped a lot of guys and gals who are current airline folks to do the medicine. Isn't that awesome? But isn't that a little nuts? Right? I've asked you on this podcast before. I've given the American public a choice. When I went up to Washington and was sitting in the auditorium, I asked that audience. I said, "Hey, man, how many of you flew here?" Half the crowd raised their hand. I said, "Guess what? There's a very good possibility that the veteran who flew you, she or he, has some pretty significant trauma. And most likely, if they do, they're hiding it. They are hiding it. They have to hide it. Do you think on your annual FAA, or I think for, what is it, commercial airline pilots, your medical every 6 months, that line where it says, have you ever suffered from PTSD, depression, or whatever? Yes. Your career is over with. So women and men like me who serve their country honorably, who want to do honorable things, who always want to tell the truth, feel like human feces when you have to lie. So these brave women and men are healing. And it sucks for the people who don't, the veteran commercial airline pilots who don't. Alcohol. Self-medicating drugs. I told you about a Viper buddy of mine, American Airlines captain. Wiz, I've been in therapy for 15 years. And I pay cash because I don't want Uncle Sam to have a paper trail. You guys cool with this? Would you rather your captain or first officer take a week off and go get their mind, body, and soul right? Or would you rather have them keep drinking, keep hiding their stuff? Not to freak you really the fuck out, but like that German wings dude. Captain went to take a leak. First officer locked the door, flew him into the side of a mountain. Egypt Air, flight 600 or whatever. That dude was nuts. Shut off the motors. Fought with the captain. Boom, crashed into the Atlantic. Would you rather have your air crews healed or hiding? So talking to these brave, this week was 3 dudes. These 3, I love all veterans, tactical air, A-10, F-18, F-35. 3 tactical aviators at major airlines who are going to do the medicine. My brother Jughead, fastest F-15 ejection and survival, Mach 1.1. Alaska Air captain. He came out, he did it out. Told the union, told the airline. So this is a good thing. But I'm bringing this up and ranting about it because if they had actually, if they report any of this, their career is over with. You guys know me. Hey, FAA, come talk to me. I got my own L-39. I'm not going to lose my airline career. What are you going to do? Throw me in FAA jail? Impound my L-39? I am a better father, husband, human being, aviator, and not a drinker, man. I was a bad drinker. I am not I can't even tell you the relief that I have in my life. I look great. Just ask me. I feel fucking great. Is all of that wrong, FAA? What did I do wrong? This is the problem that I have with our government, with shit like this. I got to call, I need to make a note of that. I got to call Doc Kaufman. Doc Kaufman, Doc K, Navy flight surgeon for like 30 years. He's an AME, an aviation medical examiner now for the FAA. We interviewed him for our No Fallen Heroes documentary, that's what I was going to tell. See, look at this. Back to the Holy Instant. I'll remember where we are right now. The Holy Instant was because of, in the blink of an eye, wait a minute. No, that wasn't why it was the Holy Instant. Let's stay with the airline guys. So Doc Kaufman is helping us out. And it's interesting because, and guys and gals that are pretty honorable don't like this little word game stuff too. Well, technically, you didn't, have you done any illegal drugs in the past 2 years? Technically, you can answer no because you're in a different country and it's not illegal there. Kind of reading the FARs, it actually says anywhere. I'm like, oh boy. So whatever. What I'm getting at, folks, is this is awesome. There's a change. It's not coming. It's here. The fact that these pilots who are responsible for tens of thousands of lives throughout their career want to heal is epic. And you should be very happy about that. You should not be worried about it. And again, knock on wood, I haven't seen, there's people that have gone back to do the medicine again or anything like that. But folks, it's the exception, not the rule. Every once in a while, I'm like, hey, I heard about a dude that went freaked out. Okay, can I get more details? They kind of disappear. Don't give me any of these urban myths. I'm working with hundreds of veterans, first responders, family members, and knock on wood, everything seems to be pretty good. Again, this is not, these aren't, the medicine is not magic. It's not, it's an interrupter and a scrubber. What you do after the car wash is up to you. You drive on the way home through a bunch of puddles. All right, well, now you got problems. So it isn't magic, and there's a lot of work involved. You know me and the people that we've interviewed on this podcast. The integration is where the rubber hits the road. The integration is the heavy lifting. You can't do this alone. Trust me. The medicine, with what it shows you and the things you need somebody to talk to, right? One of the FedEx guys, he and his wife, the wife is, hey, you know what? I want to sit with the medicine as well. Highly, highly recommended. If you are in a loving relationship or marriage or whatever it is, Nicole does a great job, our director of medicine operations. She has several calls sometimes with spouses, boyfriends, girlfriends, life partners, whatever you want to put in there, significant others. Why? Because you need to be up to speed. I've shared in my early podcast I was going to say struggles. I'm not going to use that word. The challenges after I came home the first time with Marcus and JT and JJ and Robert. The integration was challenging for Susie. It was challenging through no fault of her own because I came home healed. That was a human being that she hadn't seen for a while through no fault of her own. I came home with the rust knocked off, and I came home forgiven, right? We've talked about this, A Course in Miracles. I swear, every day after you meditate, before you meditate, sometime during the day, Google ACIM, A Course in Miracles on YouTube. It's just a daily 5 to 7 minute. It's no Stuart Smalley or whatever from Saturday Night Live. I'm good enough. I'm smart enough. And gosh darn it, people like me. It's not that stuff. There is every day, listen to A Course in Miracles for that day, right? It goes by Julian date. Julian date is what? 365. So I don't know what today's Julian date is, 120 or whatever. So you just, in YouTube, put ACIM and then 125, whatever the Julian date is. Just Google it. What's today's Julian date? Search for A Course in Miracles. Why did I bring this up? Because A Course in Miracles really helped me out a lot after the medicine, because forgiveness is a foreign concept in heaven. There's no need for it. When I was in the presence of Source, Creator, Truth, Divine, I prefer to use the word God. When I was in the presence of God, and I was like, God just kind of looked like, and it was gone. It was just kind of our natural state. It felt to me that God just kind of, just kind of shrugged a little bit like, son, you are forgiven. You're perfect. I don't make imperfect things. If you need forgiveness, here it is. And it was the most incredible experience of my life. Now, that was God coming home and sitting with Susie. I'll never forget, man. Sitting at the beach club here in Boca. It was about a 6-hour debrief, and when I replay it in my mind, just the look on her face through a lot of it it is a little like, but when you come home to an environment where the other person still has trauma or stuff, it's kind of like, well, yay for you. What about me, man? Sorry, it's a little something for the effort here. So if you are considering the medicine work, your significant other has got to be on board, or at least briefed and be up to speed. If they're not on board for you seeking healing, you got something to talk about. But it was interesting because, sitting and having that discussion like, hey, man, I'm forgiven. And it sounds so interesting to say right now, but it was the truth. All the shame and regret and depression, the alcohol, the drugs, when all of that is cleared out, it changes. It doesn't change you. Sorry about that. It resets you back to your natural state. They tell you to bring a picture of yourself when you were a kid. Well, and I'm like, okay, I will. Anyway, I have this little picture of this blonde-haired kid with a plaid shirt and a button all the way up to the neck. Thanks, Mom. Because that's what the medicine can kind of get you back to. That whatever I was, 7, 8, however old I am in that little picture, before life, before everything kind of started layering on top of you. But definitely stepping into the medicine work, have some support, or make sure your significant other's up to speed. I started on this tangent or rant because one of the guys I'm talking to, his wife is considering going. Something to think about. And I've experienced this now, so I can pass this lesson learned on. This is all of this stuff. These are lessons learned, folks. You can take it, leave it, whatever. If you're going to, so I did the medicine, obviously, and then Susie, after some times, like, you know what, I think I might, the medicine's calling me, right? I'm telling you that's what happens. It's not necessarily a seek. You don't have to seek. The medicine will call to you, and if you hear it, listen. But Susie went down to the Mission Within, and they do a little MDMA heart opener, because if you do a ton of psilocybin, it could hit you like a ton of bricks. So a little heart opener with some MDMA, which should be legal again soon for therapeutic use. Rick Doblin at MAPS doing the Lord's work, man. Keep it going, Rick. It was supposed to be this year. Still knocking out some, I think, phase 3 stuff. When I was in Washington with Rick, it was Q1, Q2 next year. Please. Heart opener, and then they do the 5-MeO DMT. I think I said on a podcast recently, I've changed my opinion on the double medicine journeys. I personally would not do it. If you're going to do some ibogaine or a psilocybin journey, do it and go full throttle and integrate. The 5-MeO DMT, the more I replay that 5-MeO DMT, please go listen to episode 7 if this is new to you, where I flip in a bed. When I do a forward, I don't remember doing that, but the sheer power, the sheer awesomeness. I can't even. It's ineffable, right? That's your SAT word for the day. It's ineffable. I can't put into words. So doing medicine work that closely together, that back to back, I wouldn't do. I'm glad I did it. It happened for a reason. It happened exactly how it was supposed to, and maybe it's so I can kind of give you a lesson learned, because those were two, aside from marriage and birth of my kids, so I don't get in trouble. It was two of the most incredible things to happen in my life, and having them on top of each other back to back. I think that was part of the challenge in my integration was, dude, I mean, that was so I personally, and that's me. You can go to the Mission Within, and I think Ambio, Trevor, also down there south of San Diego. I think they're still doing the ibogaine and the toad. If it speaks to you, knock yourself out. There's nothing unsafe about it. It's just a, and take Susie for example. She can't smoke. The chicks can't hold their smoke. She can't inhale stuff. So her 5-MeO experience was a little, you can listen to her podcast. It wasn't exploding into a million sources of light like me or Slider or other folks. Again, she got exactly what she needed, but I just want to share that because I really, really, really have been reflecting more and more on this because, that's why I'm rambling about this, because the airline guys that I talked to, I was like, I'm sharing my experience, take it or leave it, so some people, it could be absolutely perfect. It was absolutely perfect for me. I'm just saying, I wish they were separate. Okay. And I think I've been talking to, I don't have to name names. I've been talking to enough folks in the space where there's kind of a, because this was the military approach, right? When the SEALs started first going to Mexico, it's like, give me a fucking weekend. We're going to do this, and we're out, man. So that's why Awaken, 8 days at Awaken, where you got a lot of time and you're hiking or you're getting massages, or we're doing breath work or yoga, and then you sit with the medicine, then you take a couple days, and then you sit with the medicine again. 8 days is a lot of time. I get it, to be away. Trust me, man. I 8 trillion things going on, but like a wise man once said, you should meditate for 20 minutes a day. And if you don't have 20 minutes, an hour. So for all the people who are like, I can't go away for 8 days. I get it, but maybe you should. And that's exactly why I get it, folks. Single mom, we have, a lady we're helping, and a couple of kids. I mean, let's find a way to heal. So, but back to I am humbled and honored to be one of the first aviators to have done the medicine and to kind of be out about it. I mean, seriously. How can the FAA, how can this government not want aviators who are awesome, who aren't drunks, who aren't self-medicating, who aren't lying, who aren't hiding things, who just absolutely love life and love human beings. I think we could use a lot of that in our air travel industry right now. I'm telling you, man, old me, flights delayed, canceled, reschedule. Old me, I the vein in my neck would pop. New me, I'm grateful for it. I am grateful for the opportunity to practice some mindfulness and some non-attachment. And I even laugh a little bit because I'm like, who just said that? I'm like, that's me. That's new me, old you. So yeah, it's funny. You want healed air crew, folks. You don't want people flying commercial airliners that are hurting. So I'm proud, and No Fallen Heroes was a documentary. Oh, that's the holy instant. I'm sticking with it this time. I'm not losing this tangent. The holy instant happened on a phone call with the studio. Look at this, comes full circle. It's all the bong resin. Happy 420. The holy instant was on the call with the studio because, right, we're making a documentary and here's the idea for the documentary this, documentary that. Ta-da! And they're like, yeah, no, we don't want a documentary. And I was crushed. I'm like, holy shit. But as I was spiraling down in my chair on the Zoom call, trying to maintain my composure, it probably was a half a second, but it felt like an eternity. Holy instant. The lady goes, but we would love a docu-series, like 6 to 8 episodes and this and that. And she like went forever. I'm like, oh my God, that's awesome. So it was like the depths of hell. You know what? That happened. Look at this. That happened on my second medicine journey. Did you listen to episode 17 through 19? Shameless plug. I'm going to give you the Cliff Notes. First time with the medicine. Holy shit. God, Monica, my father's birthday was this week. Miss you, Dad. Love you, Dad. April 19th. Just epic. The second one, I was in flight school. I went to Top Gun. I went to psychedelic Top Gun on that second medicine. And my guide, Cynthia, nailed it because the next day I'm like, man, she's like, well, did you expect to get everything you got on the first one again? I'm like, no, I guess I shouldn't think like that. She's like, anybody who I've worked with who sits with the medicine again with the intentions of helping others, the medicine's going to show you everything. I'm like, brilliant. Probably should have known that or thought about that. But anyway, at one point on my second medicine journey, I was standing there and it was kind of dark. It looked like some sort of gothic, I don't know. It was just kind of, and these people are coming up to me, man, and they have their hands out. And I thought they were trying to strangle me. I'm like, oh, I'm not digging this. This is not cool. And just more and more coming up to me until I realized that they were trying to cover my mouth. They were all reaching to cover my mouth. And I kind of fell backwards. And man, as I'm sitting here in the studio, I can feel what I felt. I was falling and it was starting to get like red and hot and heat or whatever. I was falling like in a crevice down. And then all of a sudden, a freaking big old hand came right down and grabbed me and lifted me and threw me up into infinity or heaven or whatever, into now. It was awesome. Yeah, I wrote that in my journal the next day. I'm like, man, people are going to try and silence. Don't worry about it. Speak your truth, Edward Matthew. Speak your truth. You lead with your heart and your truth. You can never go wrong. Failure is impossible with truth. That was absolutely incredible. So that's kind of what I felt on that phone call. We don't, documentaries are so 2015. We're done. No documentary. It's like, holy shit, that sucks. Boom. Yeah, but how about, could you do 8 episodes of content? I'm like, oh my God, man. We could do an episode on female fighter pilots, male fighter pilots, minorities, air, ground, SEALs, Rangers, the whole first responders, man, fire service, police officers, sheriffs, family members. Unbelievable. So that's where we are. I haven't given an update in a while about the formerly known as documentary, because guess what? One of my 15 other day jobs is this, and I am learning a lot about documentaries and streaming content and the studios. And it's funny because I'm like, we'll have this documentary out in a year or whatever it was, a year and a half ago. And the people in the industry are like, are you high? And I'm like, there's a distinct possibility, but not right now. And they're like, 3-5 years if you're lucky. I'm like, are you shitting me? So to all my angels out there, if I haven't given you an update recently, you know what I know. Now you know what I know, that this shit ain't easy. We are actually bringing a crew to this Costa Rica one as well to film, because we have a really cool, eclectic group of veterans going. I'm going to hold on to that a little longer because we also have to fund it. But you're gonna dig. They're all cool. Everybody's cool, man. But I'm just saying, you're going to dig it. But so we have a film crew coming to this one too. So all this content's being filmed. On the last one, Nicole, our director of medicine operations, kind of, filmed for us and everything like that with her iPhone. It's pretty cool, man. Just the technology today, your iPhone is its own studio. So anyway, yeah, so there's an update on the formerly known as documentary. Let me just say project. How about that? The No Fallen Heroes project is in work. Or no, that's the industry term. It is in production. And it ain't easy, man. Not that I need, pity or anything like that. It's, and between us ladies, doing the medicine, first of all, being a fighter pilot and that type of ethos and, guiding precepts, and then being in this medicine work, right? Where you're bearing your soul and you're raw and you're just leading with truth, and you're seeing other people healing, and everything's great because you just feel the love. And then you're on calls with Hollywood people or meeting for dinner I love them. I love every soul. I love Vladimir Putin and I love Zelensky. The day you realize that God loves your enemy or a murderer on death row as much as he loves you, it loves you, then you're climbing up the mountain. However, here's ego whiz for a little bit. Man, dealing with Hollywood people sucks. Not being a medicine snob, but there's a lot of people in that industry that could use a little healing or help, especially with the ego. No, there's Hollywood egos and producers, and no, come on, Wiz. They're just perfect. What does ego stand for? Edge God out. That's what the ego is. The ego is a veil between you and God. And guess what? God just swipes that ego aside and knows you. But ego stands for edge God out. So it's been an interesting trip trying to document all this stuff, because why are we doing this? First of all, to get the word out. Our Brianna, our social media manager, posted a clip of me from the second journey in Mexico, and I hadn't seen that. We were doing interviews, for better or for worse, the day after the medicine, on our integration day, our discovery day. We're sitting in front of cameras. I don't even remember half the stuff I said. So to see that is pretty cool. So the reason we're doing all of this stuff is to lead the way. Whether it's Daniel Carcillo, 2-time Stanley Cup champ, or Marcus Luttrell, or Jared Taylor, or Lowly Wiz, can't even, when I list myself with among some of those guys, man, or gals like Rosie or Arrow, I just feel like a fraud. I'm like, how am I with these people? Because I'm just blessed to do it. But if we can show this stuff, if we can show mom and pop and regular folks that we, some of us are as fucked up as a football bat. And if we can heal, man, maybe everybody can heal. And I'm telling you folks, this world's going to be a much better place when we all start focusing on some healing. When, not if, I'm president of the United States, we're going to have I don't know, 1 day a week of meditation, or like an hour, like where the nation stops and it's like everybody closes their eyes and gives gratitude and thanks. And could you imagine the energy? It's all energy, man. The things that you can manifest and feel. Could you imagine if we all just took some time to manifest peace? To reach out to Xi or to Putin or the mullahs. Just, my God, man. At the end of the day, folks, let me remind you that we were born on the tip of a pin. This universe the mass was it was the tip of a pin that exploded into the biggest thing in all of time, even though time doesn't exist. We exploded from the tip of a pin to me sitting here on a podcast. You, nothing but cosmic dust. This cosmic dust that spooled together in a shockingly perfect thing, sitting here breathing and talking at the right distance from a star. It's incredible to me, all of this. When you pick your head up from wanting to kill the guy next to you, or hate speech or misinformation, when you pick your head up out of the trenches and you look up and see, what was it, the Voyager 1 that launched in the 70s, or Voyager 2, whichever one? I saw a picture that one of the Voyagers, before it left our soul, it's been going. It's still going. It's in deep space. The Voyager, as it left our solar system, pointed its camera back and took a picture back towards our sun. And we kind of saw the conga line of our planets. And that little speck was us. Everything you will ever know, or anybody you will, that's it. This is it. It's like William Shatner when he jumped on the Amazon dildo, or whatever that rocket was called, the Jeff Bezos thing. When William Shatner, Captain Kirk, went into space briefly and came back, he was crying. He's like, we are so, first of all, we're lucky, but we're so fragile. Episode 50, last shameless plug, and I got to go get some lunch. Episode 50, last shameless plug. I'm telling you, I didn't see what Captain Kirk saw. I experienced it. When I came home the first time, I told Susie, I'm like, I never have to travel again. She's like, why? I said, I saw everything. You name it, name something, I saw it. God gave me a tour and said, look at all of this. And then, after my familiarization flight, came back. And I was staring at this big blue spaceship, man. And I got the feeling that God said, this is it. I love you all. I love you. This, Edward Matthew, is it. We should feel so incredibly special about that. And I get if that just made your head tilt sideways. That's impossible. Listen to episode 50. It's actually more probable that we are alone than there are aliens zipping around the universe. Listen to it. It's math, folks. It's the exact opposite math of what you think. Now, statistically looking at it, it's impossible. Like Bill Nye, the science guy. Okay, nerd. First of all, you're not a scientist. But anyway, no. It is more probable that this is it. And if you do believe in the crowded universe, beep-boop, bop, aliens, and zipping all over the place, then we're just kind of not really that special at all, are we? You can believe that. I love that. God bless you and what you believe. I was that guy. I swear, man, flying fighters. I'm like, what the hell's that thing? I get it. The universe is crowded. It's statistically impossible that we're alone. And I went from being that guy to the exact opposite guy. This is it. And knowing that this is it, any act of kindness, any love to an enemy, a friend, a neighbor goes so far. Compassion, kindness, love, truth. Practice that on a daily basis. Show gratitude. Show gratitude even in the toughest of times. I'm thankful for the sunshine. I'm thankful for rain. I thank you for joy. I thank you for pain. So this has been a rambling podcast by me, which actually shows that I need to schedule guests so you guys don't sit here listening to me ramble. If you listened this far, I'm going to give you a hat, a No Fallen Heroes Foundation hat, man. These things are tight. For $100, of course, $100 donation. These are $30, $40 hats. Please toss in. Go to nofallenheroesfoundation.com because we're going to have lower donation amounts. Sorry, the techies like 100, 200, 500, 10,000. Those would be great. Anything helps, folks. I'm telling you, 25, 50, 75 bucks, man. Helps pay for a plane ticket to Costa Rica. Helps pay for integration coaching. Everything helps. And I thank you for pitching into the fight. Even if you can't donate, folks, here's how you donate. Send this podcast to somebody, not this one, this rambling one. Send one of the good ones. Send one where episode 7, I talk about the medicine, or episode 17 through 19, second time I do the medicine. And not just me, Susie's debrief, or Sledges, or Deuce, or all of Slider, beautiful Slider, great man, Slider. Share the information with people. Spread the word that healing is possible, and you will have donated more than you can possibly imagine. Have a great rest of your day. Happy hunting. Make sure you hedge. Fights on. Namaste and Basi Basi. We'll talk to you next time.